Hi. I just want to talk to all those wonderful people who have already or are thinking about getting a dog from a rescue. Um, it's so easy to go in with the innocent notion of getting a sweet little lassie dog who will curl up in your lap. And the reality is, when we get a dog from a shelter, or even from a breeder for that matter, we have no idea what we're bringing home. There's several things to really consider just being aware of, not that you can do anything about it. But dogs historically are weaned about 8 weeks old, sometimes as early as 4 to 5 weeks old. So they got some nutritious food from their mom, but then they get taken away from their mothers right at the time that they're going through sexual maturity. And they have not yet learned from their mom what the rules and boundaries are in this new hormonal state. And on top of that, they're put into a home with two-legged humans that have a different culture and a different language, and they're supposed to figure out how to live there. And if the two-legged humans don't have some basic education about working with a dog, that dog may receive tons and tons of love, but no really clear boundaries, no clear rules about what's acceptable behavior from a dog in the house of a human. But we feel safe when our boundaries and rules are very clear. And without those boundaries, those safe boundaries, it's like Lord of the Flies for dogs. It's just bedlam and chaos where they try it out and see what works to keep themselves alive. Safety is key to survival. That's instinctual. It's the most important thing for any species. So now you have dogs who are going through sexual maturity, first until about a year old, and then into social maturity from about age 1 to 3, with no guidance from other dogs. So they just have to figure it out for themselves. And when some human is loving on them too much and they have no boundaries in the house and they feel overwhelmed, they might growl, and then the human backs up. And the dog goes, "Oh, that worked." Creating distance is how dogs and humans and horses feel safe. If something's uncomfortable, you move away from it. And by gaining distance from it, you feel safer. While dogs learn, they can either run away, but they're trapped in your house and can't get very far, or they can growl and lunge, or bite if the growl was not successful at giving them space. Now that becomes a pattern of behavior. And the lovely people who adopted the dog from the rescue didn't realize all this was going on, and nor did they realize their boundaries were unclear. So they think that all of a sudden their wonderful little dog is biting out of nowhere. But it's not out of nowhere. And then maybe they take that dog to a trainer, although many dog trainers won't take reactive and aggressive dogs. But if that trainer uses a form of harsh punishment when the dog barks or growls, he might force them into submission because they're now more afraid of the trainer than anything else. But it actually activates their sense of fear and reactivity and heightens the fear, which is where the behavior came from. So the thing is, all those behaviors, lunging, barking, biting, are symptoms. And most all the time, those symptoms are a response to an underlying fear. Fear of feeling unsafe, a fear of being unconfident, a fear of feeling that you have to protect yourself, a fear of feeling that you have to protect the people around you. You have to keep your pack safe because clearly they don't know how to keep anyone safe. And so the lunging and barking creates distance. And often the separation anxiety is because they can't do their job if you leave the house. They can't keep you safe. So they bite at you and freak out when you leave because they can't do their job. So we need to remember that dogs are born little balls of love and light. And then whatever their environment is, there are layers and layers of learned behaviors that they have adapted in order to survive. And survival doesn't always mean that they're not getting fed or watered or loved. It's equally dangerous to their survival not to have clear boundaries to help them feel safe, where they can relax and build self-confidence. They become more and more fearful because the world is not clear, doesn't make sense to them, and they have to keep guessing. That is a tough way to grow up. So I encourage anyone before getting a dog just to think about the commitment it is. And, before all of that, we need to educate ourselves about the specific traits of a breed. There's so many genetic tendencies. And if you get a border collie, it's got to have space to move and run. And if you get a German Shorthair Pointer, it's got to use its nose. So be aware of what the traits are, and then genetically within breeds, there are different lines of what dogs have been bred for, which traits are stronger. So it's just good to consult with people, learn from people, and we don't know if when that beautiful puppy went into a foster home or a shelter, what its history was there. Did it get attacked by another dog? Was it the runt of the litter and didn't get as much food? But every time it uses a self-protective behavior and it works, it reinforces that behavior. So please, at the very first sign of any dog shifting into slight aggression or reactivity, please reach out, find someone who understands nervous system regulation and confidence building, and go to school with your dog so that you can learn how to help them. You can learn how to set the boundaries they need. It's so much fun to have a dog in your family. All right, have fun.